Yes, brother.
What's up, man? It only took me about 20 minutes, but I got it.
We got there in the end, mate. How's things? You good?
Good. Yeah, man. Good.
That's good to hear, mate. How I normally start it, Noah, is I go at the beginning, just wondering whereabouts it was that you grew up and what it was like growing up in the area that you grew up in.
Cool. Yeah, so I grew up mainly in Florida, in Northwest Florida. That's not where I was born. I was born in North Carolina, and my dad was in the Marines, so we moved around every 3 years. And then when I was 11 or 12, we moved to Florida, and this is where I've been at ever since I've been a teenager and an adult. So a couple different cities moving around the area, but mostly in Northwest Florida.
All right. And have you been in combat sports since you've been young?
Not till I was 22. I didn't do a lot when I was a kid or a teenager. I did a couple kickboxing classes here and there, but I never started training for mixed martial arts MMA until I was 22.
Yeah. So, how did you have much boxing background or anything like that?
No, I was more of a, I mean, I guess a little bit, but I was more of a kickboxer. So definitely not as good of hands as a traditional boxer, I would say. You know, a lot more Muay Thai style. So it's a lot of looping punches and stuff like that. I started training more boxing background, and now I go to a boxing gym majority of the time to train for Bareknuckle 2 years ago.
All right. So, growing up in Miami, did you get into many street fights?
Um, no, I haven't, I didn't get into a lot of street fights. I'm in, not Miami though. That's South Florida. I'm in Northwest, like more closer to Panama City area. But, I didn't get into a lot of fights when I was a kid. I got into maybe like two fights at school when I was a kid and a teenager. And, when I was 18, I got into a few fights with my brother, but I didn't fight a lot, outside until I started competing.
Yeah. So, when you competed in MMA, did you have many bouts?
Yeah, I did 12 amateur MMA bouts. I won a title. I went 8-4 as an amateur. I did, I think, 7 or 8 professional MMA bouts, and now I've done 6 professional bare knuckle bouts.
That's great, mate. So, how did the bare knuckle come along?
Um, well, I was fighting regionally, doing MMA professionally. Like I said, I'm more of a kickboxer. So I was getting a lot of losses by submission, a lot of wrestlers taking me down and submitting me. Um, so bare knuckle had been out for a couple of years. I was watching it, and I was, I probably should have kickboxed instead of doing MMA, and I never traditional boxed. But I thought, man, that bare knuckle boxing, that looks right up my alley. A little bit of not the crispest boxing technique. Not everybody that's in there is like a traditional boxing style, and you don't have to be with bare knuckles. It's a lot different. You know what I mean? It's a lot different when you're not wearing gloves. And I was always a brawler type of fighter with technique, so I just thought it was right up my alley, man. And 2 or 3 years after they've been out, I was able to get on. I think bare knuckle 13 or 14 was the first event that I fought on.
So, how many fights did you have? You had 6 bare knuckle fights. Have they all been on the BKFC cards?
Yeah, the only one that wasn't was on the Toe the Line. That used to be it's like a sister company of BKFC, and they said they were going to bring it back, but they haven't brought it back yet. But that was in a traditional boxing ring. But
Right.
it was basically like a kind of like a Ultimate Fighter or Contender Series for BKFC. So you go there, you fight, and then if you do well, you get contracted. I went there, I fought, I knocked my opponent out. I didn't earn a contract that night, but then 7 weeks later, they still called me up to go fight in Miami against Francesco Ricci. So
Quality. So, was it everything that you expected when you went in for your bare knuckle debut? What were the nerves like? Was it the same nerves as when you were walking into MMA, or was it something totally different?
It's a lot different for me. I'm a lot more relaxed. Sometimes I think I need to be more nervous because I'm not nervous enough. But for me, it's a lot more. The nerves are a lot less because it's not like MMA. You know what I mean? Like being a kickboxer in MMA and going and fighting a guy that's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and has a wrestling background. The nerves are kind of like, I hope this guy doesn't take me down so that I could strike him and implement my game plan before, he takes me down and submits me. And bare knuckle, we're both throwing fists from the waist up with no gloves on. So it's really, it's all a lot of toughness, a lot of who could take a shot. And when it's more even like that and it's just two hands from the waist up, like I said, I'm a lot less nervous and I enjoy it a lot more. And this is where my career has really been thriving, and it's where I enjoy fighting.
Great stuff, mate. So who would you say was your toughest fight in the BKFC out of the 6 or 5, shall we say, bouts that you've had?
Oof, man, every one of them, everyone's tough. The last one was good, but the one right before that, I fought Jordan Nash and down in Tampa, and we went all 5 rounds and one fight of the night, and I finished him in the 5th round, and that was a pretty tough fight. I think my toughest fights obviously are guys that have stopped me, because they were just able to take the shots and keep on coming. But every fight is tough, man. Everybody you fight in that organization, I haven't done a single fight against anyone yet that wasn't an MMA veteran or, someone that had a lot of skill. And I think we're going to see a lot less of that as we move forward with BKSC. These guys are getting really good and the competition is good. So, every fight is hard.
Yeah, of course it is. So what have you got planned for the future in BKFC?
Well, we just fought 2 months ago, so I'm going to take a couple more months, start training again. I've been talking shit online to Brad Kelly, who's supposed to be fighting in Jacksonville on the next card. He was supposed to fight me last year, and he pulled out. And then he pulled out of another fight. He probably pulled out of another fight that we don't know about. And so I'm going to see if he shows up on the next card, and I'd like to fight him in September or August or anytime at the end of the year, fall, once my medical clearance is up and I'm back in the gym and got plenty of time to train. I'd love to get in there in Biloxi, Mississippi or something like that and fight Brad.
Yeah, that'd be a great fight, to be fair. And I'm sure you've seen the BKFC is coming to London, over to the UK. Is there something that you'd be interested in doing, coming over here to fight for the BKFC?
Yeah, I would absolutely be interested in doing that. In the last fight, the goal was to knock my opponent out in the first round, keep my hands and my face from getting hurt, and then being able to turn around and go do another fight. Obviously, that didn't work out for me. I had it going. We were on the way to the plan, but I knocked him down 3 times in the first round. He turned around in the second and was able to stop me. So if everything would have gone to plan, I could have saw myself fighting in London. I always go and fight guys out of state a lot of the times. Like I fight in Florida sometimes, but I enjoy going out of state and fighting hometown guys in their state. So I'd love to go to London, and fight a London fighter out there. Obviously, Joe is supposed to be going to fight Connor over there. That's going to be a great fight. Shoemaker is fighting the heavyweight from over there. I don't recall his name right now, but the heavyweight that's been fighting bare knuckle. So those are going to be some great matchups. I'm looking forward to watching it's like a old school US versus UK kind of matchup over there. It's going to be real cool.
Yeah, Mickey Terrell, I think you were on about.
Yeah, is that who's fighting Shoemaker?
Yeah.
That's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, it'll be class. And obviously, you've got to remember, mate, the BKFC could be potentially doing 6 shows a year in the UK, so there's plenty of chances to get on, bro.
Yeah, I'd love to come over there, man. Like I said, I don't have anything against UK guys or anything like that. I just like going and fighting guys in their hometown, and that also gives me the experience. It's just some regional MMA fighter small time kid from Florida, you know, I would probably never go to London for any other reason than to fight somebody. So that kind of gives me the opportunity to go and travel and do that kind of stuff. So I would love to do it, man. I'd love to go over there and match up against a London guy.
Yeah, it'd be good, mate. It'd be great to see you over here too. It's good that all this Bareknuckle's kicking off. I think like it's a platform that's building and building to be something beautiful.
Yeah, and you guys have already been Bareknuckle fighting over there in the UK with the other organizations for a while. So you have a lot of good fighters over there that are already a lot more trained for it. You know what I mean? More accustomed to doing like a Bareknuckle boxing type of situation. Whereas American guys, unless you've been doing it on the side or underground or something like that, you know, we all started kind of training for it when Bareknuckle Bkfc came around. So 4 or 5 years, maybe at the most, you got fighters over here training for it. Whereas maybe, you know, it might be like 10 years over there. You've had guys, I'm sure it's probably been around and on a pretty steady level.
Yeah, we have. And another question I was going to ask you is I've spoke to a couple of MMA fighters and they say that when they take a punch in Bareknuckle, there's not much difference to taking it with an MMA glove on. Did you have the same thoughts?
I would say it's probably more similar. You know, I've never done a boxing match. I've only sparred, obviously, with boxing gloves on. So I know the difference between being punched with a boxing glove, being punched with an MMA glove, and being punched bare fist. And I definitely don't think it's the same because, you know, that MMA glove has a little bit of padding. So not only are you less likely to get cut because there's some shots in BKFC, and I've been the recipient of some of the worst cuts at BKFC on my lip, on my nose, my cheeks. You know, you get lacerations a lot more than you do with the MMA glove punching, but also in MMA, you're getting elbowed in the face, you're getting kicked with people's shins. So, you know, I would say it's different. It also affects your hand more and the way you punch. You know, MMA, they put MMA gloves on MMA fighters so they could just beat the shit out of each other and swing with nasty, ugly shots. Because if you hit people on top of your skull with a bunch of nasty, ugly shots, you're going to break your hands. People can't continue, and then the fight has to be stopped. So I definitely think it's a lot different. It's a lot different the way you place your punches, the way you block them, and yeah, taking the damage too. I think it's the lacerations is the main difference. You know, there's, like I said, elbows and stuff in MMA that are going to cut you all the same, but I believe a glove, you know, gives you that little bit more shock absorbing, able to take the shot and able to not cut your skin as much.
Yeah, because there's also been other MMA fighters who said therefore it's different because you've got that, even though it's only a thin padding, you've got that little bit of extra reach. You know, like,
yeah.
So you have to, like, the reach and everything's different and your ranging.
Yeah, and blocking and defense too, because even though it's smaller than a boxing glove, it's still a little bit bulky. So you can still get away with some certain defense. Like I was just talking about this with a guy in the gym. You know, boxing, if I cover like this with a boxing glove on, I can block that entire shot. You know, if it's Bareknuckle or with an MMA glove, I have to get up a little higher here. If it's Bareknuckle, I almost have to be completely covered because if there's just a little bit of a gap, that punch is going to come through that opening and hit you right in the ear or right behind the ear. And that's all it takes to cut you open, knock you out, you know, hit that shot. It's pretty much what happened to me in my last fight. I got hit right in the ear and cut open on the ear. And it takes your motor skills away. You know, it's not like being knocked out completely. It's like a flash knockout, and then you got your legs ain't underneath you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And before we wrap it up, Noah, is there any shout outs or anything that you want to give out? And where can the followers find you on social media and things?
Yeah, man, appreciate it. So the only social media I do is on Instagram. It's at Noah S. Cutter. I'm not on Facebook. That place is a hellhole. And I appreciate you doing the interview with me, man. I don't normally do interviews unless I got a fight coming up. So this was fun. And shout out to my team, Walker's Boxing Academy in Fort Walton, and my sponsors, Main Street Fitness Gym, Mary Jane's House of Glass. They sponsor me every fight, and BKSC. Who else we got? Red Level Tattoo. My brother-in-law's tattoo shop, Makotech mouth guards. They make all my mouth guards. Fusion CBD products. Big shout out to them, man. They've been supporting me ever since I started Bareknuckle. D26 graphics. Dorian, he's the man. He designed this banner behind me and makes all my graphics, all my different stuff for me. And my guy Kiss My Fist right here, man. He makes some good couple little edibles here in the US. If you need to get a hold of something like that, man, you can hit him up, and everything's on Instagram and everything's on my page if you want to find them.
Cushy, mate. I'll put the links as well to your Instagram in the description of this video. And really appreciate your time, Noah. We'll definitely stay in touch, bro, and catch up again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love to do another one, and I'm looking forward to that London card coming up.
Spot on, brother. Thanks again, mate. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, bro.
See you later, Noah, mate.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Lou. You have a good day.
You too, mate. See you in a bit.
All right, bro.